Hey, Doug, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every week, Todd. Try to record a podcast.
My brain's a rocket, can't sit still. Thoughts collide, they always spill. A million voices shout my name. Never boring, never tame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide.
Just a reminder, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to support us, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more. Your star ratings and reviews help others discover our podcast, so take a moment to share your thoughts. We appreciate you, and let's keep the conversation going.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the host of ADHP, Doug and Todd.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to ADHP with Doug and Todd.
Yes.
I'm Doug. That's Todd. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing good, doing good. Just been dinking on the computer, chatting up with people on Messenger, and earlier I was playing around on Suno, so I made a bunch of new songs.
Oh, nice. Did you do anything for the 4th? Or were you in mourning like a bunch of the rest of us?
I was watching Indiana Jones movies,
Okay, that's not a bad way to spend the time.
because I wanted to see somebody kicking Nazi ass, so that's why I was watching it.
There you go. I like it.
And
We had some thoughts on doing. We had some different options on 4th of July stuff, but we ended up just kind of staying home, doing a low key thing, and it seemed like our neighbors all kind of had a similar idea because it was just it ended up being kind of a little neighborhood fireworks show, which was kind of fun.
we had the artillery happening here in my neighborhood, so yeah, that was exciting for the animals, I'm sure.
Yeah, our we definitely gave extra treats to our cats and treated them to a new. We got a new cat toy. Cat. What do you want to call it? Like it's a tent tunnel system.
Okay.
So it's indoor, outdoor. So over the weekend, we have a little above ground pool set up. So we splashing around in the pool, and then we have our cats are indoor cats. So
gotcha.
we put one end of it inside the house, and then like kind of close the window up around it,
Yeah.
and then stuck out the tunnels and the other play areas into the yard, and so the cats could come out and hang out in the backyard with us. It was kind of fun.
Nice. Yeah, no, yeah, it was lots of artillery going off and a few like sparkler type things and what's that? Oh, I'm getting messages from people. I'm gonna close Messenger on my computer.
Oh, not from viewers, just from randoms.
No, just
from
like I sent links out to people. Hey, I'm going live, and they're like, oh, I'll check it out here in a little bit. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Fair enough. Do you have the phone number up? Just curious.
Do I? Hold on. The phone
This
number.
isn't,
the
we're
phone-
not doing a live caller focus show like we did last week, but we would absolutely take any calls if somebody wants to call us on a
Yeah,
topic.
I actually and I got it working, so it actually will ring through now. I didn't have it enabled to call in to my phone. It wasn't on do not
I
disturb, but
see.
it wasn't set to actually allow calls to come in. So I got that.
I see.
But the phone number, if people want to give a call in or send a text, you can 425-243-7571.
There you go. So yeah, we're actually gonna have some topics this week, but it's gonna still be more of a loosey goosey format. But there's been some big issues in the news recently. I don't know if you've heard, if you've paid attention, Todd.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm trying, but at the same time, I'm like,
If you had to pick a top political story this week, what would you think?
I mean, the whole like the bill whatever passing through to the president for getting rid of uh, Medicare and Medicaid. So
Yeah. So what that got me. So if anybody's listening to this podcast, I imagine they're somewhat up. If you're listening for the political part of this podcast, anyways, you're probably up on what's going on with Trump's bill.
Yeah.
It's been passed. It's going to go into effect. It has huge cuts to Medicaid. It basically means the end of student lunch and uh, a lot of student activities in rural areas that didn't already have good,
yeah,
strong
you can forget your
school
Pell
district
Grants
funding.
too.
Yeah, my kids are both special needs classes and they get free breakfasts and free lunch. They've had that for the last couple years. Um, I don't know if because we're in Washington State, thankfully, maybe that's still going to survive
It might. Yeah.
based on state programs. But we always have the people on the right trying to fight new taxes
Yeah.
on our side. So who knows if we're going to be able to fund that kind of stuff going forward. The only hope right now is that things aren't going to go to effect right away. Most of the stuff is most of the cuts are set to hit, after the midterms start hitting in 2020 and late 26 and 27. So maybe by the time if we can reverse the Congress in 2026, then maybe
Yeah.
we have a chance to do something about this before
Right?
the worst effects go into place. So the best thing to do right now is to find out who's running for primary in your local elections. Who are you going to vote for? Which side are you going to vote in the primary on? You may find in your area you want to register as a Republican to champion a certain Republican that is a non-MAGA, non-Trump type of Republican. If you live in a
Wait, you
place
mean
where
those
a Republican's
exist?
gonna win, there's if there's anybody in a primary, uh, somebody's probably going to try and stand out by being non-Trump. And this is for people that live in a red district where the Democrat's not
Right.
going to win anyways. If
Yeah.
if you live in a blue district, go in and go find your most progressive candidate and support them, like what we saw with Mamdani in New York.
Yeah.
I know we have in Michigan, there's a very progressive Senate candidate running in the primary, hoping to upset the incumbent, or maybe even running for an open seat actually after retirement. He's actually running for an open seat, so he stands a decent chance. Other than he's the progressive candidate and gets labeled a socialist and all that.
No.
Um,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But that's I'm talking here. This is kind of leading into the subject that I wanted to talk about is everything I think about when it comes to this bill, because the other thing that this bill does is it funds ICE to insane degrees.
Right.
If I'm thinking of it offhand, it's their budget was like 17 billion and it's going up to like 68 billion or something like that.
Some insane number either way.
And
Yeah.
it's like, how are they going to spend that money if in immigration and customs enforcement if it's not to build camps and go mass incarcerate people?
Yeah.
Like, what else would they be spending that money for? And so we are literally like we already have the first thoughts of a concentration camp in America where we have the alligator Alcatraz. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I've heard it called alligator Auschwitz as well.
Yes, yes. That's what I think I've seen that on Blue Sky and Substack. By the way, since I've been perusing Substack more often, I've found that it's just Twitter. Like, I didn't realize it was just Twitter with the option to like do your own long blog post on the side.
Okay.
Like if you just do the Substack stream, it's just classic Twitter,
Okay.
which or Blue Sky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a story here. Let's see. What pick your fancy here. Do you want The Guardian from Europe or England? CBS News? Do you want Scripps News? Do you want the Feminist Majority Foundation? Or do you want something called WESH? It's all the same story.
Yeah, so let's do it.
Pick one. Just pick. Which one do you like best?
It don't matter to me.
All right, we're going Feminist Majority Foundation.
Okay.
So, alligator Alcatraz raises legal and environmental concerns. In a new development in the current administration's federal immigration enforcement, a new detention facility has been constructed in Florida's swampy Everglades, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz by Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer. The facility has been established at a decommissioned airport spanning 39 square miles of the Florida Everglades. Detainees will be surveyed by more than 200 security cameras and 400 personnel, while enclosed with 28,000 plus feet of barbed wire. Sounds like a Call of Duty map. It is estimated that the detention center will hold a capacity of 5,000 beds by early July and will cost $450 million annually. Like, this is what they're spending money on. Like, do you understand what they could do? Like, for $450 million.
Yeah, they could keep Medicare.
Yeah, they could keep Medicaid. They could fund everyone's lunch. So they've been selling merchandise referencing Alligator Alcatraz on websites and commercial platforms.
Yep.
It's just all it's all got to be a marketing thing. This really is idiocracy.
It's just one giant grift.
It's got what plants crave.
Yeah, oh God, yes, and of course, Gatorade is from Florida, so.
Oh yeah, naturally we called it Gatorade. And then, of course, indigenous groups have expressed concerns since Alligator Alcatraz has been built on sacred land. If they can't get this wrong enough, they get it wrong in every direction.
Right.
Talbert Cypress, chairman of the Muskogee Business Council, told ABC News that the facility is surrounded by the Big Cypress, where his tribe has lived for centuries. Not only that, but some tribal villages are located a mere 900 feet from the facility's entrance. He pointed to a lack of environmental studies about the detention center's impact on the local ecosystem, as well as fearing for traditional native camp safety as traffic and flights increase through the area. Yeah, that's another thing, is this project got the treatment of like what you would do for like a necessary new dam or something to power an entire region, where they're just like, we're gonna wave away the environmental impact study so that, because this is an emergency situation. And this just feeds into what I was getting at for this bill. All it makes me think about is when you have a capitalist society that's successful and generates wealth, you are either going to have a welfare state or a police state. Like, you have to have no option. The only other third option is just be fine with rebellion, right? Like, just let people openly rebel where they choose to, and don't fight it and hope it doesn't catch fire and turn the whole place over. That's basically it. If you're going to allow wealth disparity to happen, if you're going to stratify your society, you either need to be a police state or a welfare state. And we have had a welfare state in America since the New Deal. It created the middle class as we've known it. And it mostly did that through a high progressive income tax that lasted through, up to into Nixon, and then was kind of, it was cut down by Kennedy, still kept it at like 73%, and actually increased revenue because it brought a bunch of money back into the system that was trying to avoid it.
Got you.
But then it kept going all the way down to like where it's at like 32 or 28 now. And this gets into the whole Thomas Piketty thing that I've talked about in past episodes, where, again, if you're newer to the podcast, if this is the first episode you're listening to, if you're listening to us live and this is the first time you've heard of us, Thomas Piketty, Piketty, he's a French economist. He wrote the book Capital in the 20th Century, or Capital in the 21st Century, but it's mostly about the 20th century, and it demonstrates how there was a period in American history, or in Western economies, because he also included France in this, but there was a period of time where upward mobility was, in fact, a reasonable expectation of hard work, and in America. Okay. And that was the time when the tax rates were the highest. And as tax rates have come down, income gaps have risen, and most people are not moving upward. There's no longer as much, if any, upward mobility. It's more like a lottery ticket if you do move upward. Um, Most people are just an echo of their parents' success right now, or lack thereof. Um, so what we end up with is we either need more welfare, like a Bernie style democratic socialism, or like Zoran Mamdani in New York. We
Right.
need that kind of stuff, or we have to be a police state where we're just going to say we're fine with having a poor underclass and we're just going to police them so that they can't rob us or threaten us or make us feel uncomfortable, and we'll just hammer them down and deport those that we can. And this could, because this is definitely a move towards the police state. This is cutting welfare programs while increasing the ICE, which is serving as the administration's Gestapo, like just basically secret police that are disappearing people that are undesirable. So
Right.
and their mandate is immigration and customs enforcement, right? But what happens if once they've deported everybody they can and they need a new scapegoat? Like, are they just going to become, is everyone's citizenship going to be questioned at that point? Like, is it going to be who goes back the furthest, who did a crime, whose parents did a crime, who missed a form?
Right. It's gonna be like those old German movies where people are having to show papers for traveling and that kind of shit.
Already got to. Yep, already got to. I mean, even now for like flying in a plane, you got to get a real ID or a passport. And this was a choice we had after 9/11 as well. Is, you know, do we cooperate with the world or do we become the world police? And obviously, as Team America would lead you to believe, we decided we were going to be the world's police.
Yeah. Because we know what's best for you.
Well, we didn't want to give up what we would have to give up to cooperate.
Right.
We'll just police it. We'll just police it. Which is, that's what it is on the local scale too. Is people that own everything don't want to give up ownership
I saw
in
I
order
saw
to
a
create a
video
better world.
yesterday that said, "So let me get this straight. We have a felon that has an immigrant partner telling us that he wants to get rid of felons and immigrants." That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he just does it because he taps into the dark underbelly of American
he's telling on
populism.
himself. I mean, he's projecting everything he says that the left is doing. He's doing. He's absolutely doing these things.
Oh yeah, every accusation from Trump is a confession, 100%.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you heard now this week that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, she's saying, "Oh, there is no Epstein list."
Oh, is that the newest? It doesn't exist now, even
Yeah,
though
let
we've
me
been
pull up a
talking about
story
it
on
for
this.
months now. Oh man.
Yeah, what is the? So we'll go to CNN here for Pam Bondi's botched handling of the Epstein files. So, the Trump administration's promises to release. Oh, this is. I think what they meant is promise. The Trump administration's promise to release extensive and significant new information related to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein appear to be petering out, depriving conspiracy-minded MAGA supporters of the smoking guns they have long sought as they've publicly tried to influence figures to Epstein's crimes. So, and to the
Man.
extent those MAGA supporters are disappointed, the Trump administration has itself to blame. That especially applies to Attorney General Pam Bondi, or who I was about to call Bam Bondi.
Is that like a mashup of Pam Bondi and Bam Margera?
Maybe. Bam's looking a lot better these days, though.
I know he's looking a lot like his uncle.
Well, I was gonna say he looks like his dad. He almost looks like if his dad could skateboard. If you've
Right.
seen the recent.
Oh, I have. Yeah,
Bam Margera clips.
he actually. No, I think you're right. I think he looks more like his dad than his uncle. But either way, he's gotten a lot thicker since I've seen him last.
Oh yeah. Well, I have too. Uh,
Well, same. Yeah.
the Justice Department posted a memo Monday that says there is no evidence Epstein was murdered or that he kept anything amounting to a much anticipated client list. The department does not plan to release any new documents on the matter, an
So the
official told CNN.
so they're gaslighting us now. Is what they're doing.
Yeah, there was never. What do you mean? There was never a client list.
What I
Why would you?
meant by
Why would you have
list.
thought that? Why? And
What
of
I
course he
meant
killed
by
himself.
the client list was it was a receipt from Rite Aid. It looked really really big, although it only had 5 items on it.
It was all coupons on new lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Why would you think he killed himself? Most people beat themselves up before they hang
You know
themselves.
he.
known
You
fact.
know the soap that they have at the prisons are notoriously slippery. So it shot out of his hand and then hit him in the leg and fell over and he smacked his head on a toilet seat, 10 feet away from the shower.
Wasn't he found actually to have hung himself though? Isn't
I
that
don't
what
even
they-
know how he died. I just know that he died in prison, and everyone's
Fair
like
enough.
he didn't kill himself. I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised if he was killed because it was a pedophile, and as I've been told by people that I've known to have gone to jail or prison, they do not like pedophiles in prison. So those guys usually slip and fall in the shower.
Yeah, and Miami Herald's Julie K. Brown, one of the best sourced reporters on the Epstein case, reported earlier this year, those who have worked with the FBI on the case for decades say there is no evidence Epstein kept a ledger of list of clients who were involved with his sex trafficking operation. Still, the memo undercuts theories that continued to circulate, including that there was proof that influential figures were involved in Epstein's exploitation of underage girls. At their most pitched, these theories held that Epstein was able to blackmail those influential figures who appeared on a purported client list. They also undercut Bondi's personal rhetoric. The new memo's key findings are very different from how Bondi billed them. Far-right activist Laura Loomer, who has demonstrated influence with the Trump administration and has frequently criticized Bondi over her handling of the Epstein investigation, called for Trump to fire his attorney general. If she doesn't get fired over this Epstein memo, people are going to be so black-pilled, Loomer wrote on X, using a term that some of the far-right use to signify a belief that the system is beyond repair.
Oh yeah, that's right. Red pill was like becoming aware of what's going on, and black pilled is for those who no longer want to be red pilled, but also don't want to be blue pilled.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the blue pill fit in with this?
Well,
But
the
yeah.
blue pill is clearly where we are because we're not Republicans or not MAGA, so we're the woke ones.
We're in the blissful ignorance,
Yeah, we're woke, so therefore we're blissfully ignorant.
which is weird because woke should be the red pill, right?
You would think, yeah. You would think.
So apparently the idea that Epstein kept a client list that potentially implicated influential figures has become an article of faith in some circles. Key Republican lawmakers have treated its existence as an established fact and pushed for its release. And a big reason was Bondi herself. During a February 21st interview on Fox News, host John Roberts asked whether DOJ would release a list of clients. Will that really happen? Roberts asked. Bondi responded, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review."
Yeah,
That's
I saw
been a
that. I
directive
saw that
by
clip
President
today.
Trump. I'm reviewing that. Yeah. So there you go. Like, they were pretending it was there. They were certainly acting like it was there. I think they were playing their constituents for fools, like they do on everything else.
Yeah.
But to any extent that a Epstein list has been assembled from contacts and things like that, Trump's on it, and that's why this is all happening.
Yeah. I mean,
if
Elon even
if
said
Trump
so.
wasn't like the most mentioned name on it, they'd be figuring out a way. Like, if Trump was just barely referenced, they'd figure out a way to scrub him
Yeah.
and release some sort of composite of like, okay, we have these based on people in his phone, people he's messages with, people he's.
We've all seen the video of those two hanging out, and the way they were acting in that video looked like they were a couple of teenage boys like checking out girls
Oh
at the
yeah.
mall. They were like at
Uh-huh.
the mall, like, check that one out. That one's hot. I like her. She's got a nice butt. That kind
Oh
of stuff.
yeah, no, it's two sleaze bags. If you ever seen two sleaze bags
Yeah,
hanging out
exactly.
together, Two sleaze bags on the sleaze.
Oh yeah. So, um, God, was someone famous recently in like the last few days passed away, and I'm trying to remember who the hell it was. My brain is just not wanting to brain today.
Um, I've been doing so much mourning for the country that I know who you're talking. I know I saw someone too. Um,
Yeah,
I've seen a few people, obviously.
but it's like, hold on, I know I have it somewhere. I have a website that has all of that shit. At least I did. Where is it? Either way, I'm gonna still look for it. I gotta find it now, because now that I mentioned it, I'm fucking not seeing the fucking thing.
Meanwhile, the markets are down again because Trump announces new 40% tariffs on a growing number of countries.
Oh, of course.
Right. So what do we have now? President Donald Trump still comes out of your mouth just all wrong. Cranked up the pressure Monday on America's trading partners, firing off letters to heads of several countries, informing them of their new tariff rate. But at the same time, Trump took some of the edge off by signing an executive action Monday to extend the date for all reciprocal tariffs, with the exception of China, to August 1st. So the 90 days was up, and now that's pushed back to August 1st. So he extended it another 30 days, basically.
Okay. Uh, what the hell? I really absolutely fucking hate the websites that will hide shit because you have a pop-up blocker. We're not gonna let you see our shit. Oh, fuck you. I don't need to look at your website anyhow. Sorry.
Yeah, those websites are shady, anyways.
They
Like the New
always
York
are.
Times.
Let's see. I just fucking had it. Where'd it go? All right. Well, Google's telling me it's Julian McMahon, the guy from Nip Tuck and the Fantastic
Oh,
Four.
he did. He did pass away. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one person who did. Yeah.
Or as people I used to know call it, Fant Forstick, because of how the logo looked. So that's unfortunate. I thought of that entire movie, I thought he was probably the best part of that movie. It's the whole Doctor Doom thing he had. So.
And then in the sign of what happens with when you do go towards police state and you defund the welfare state in order to fund the police state, you get
What?
You get, poor rescue responses. You get poor warnings. We
Right.
defund the National Weather Service.
Yeah. There's
now-
there's a trending sound on TikTok right now that says, "So let me get this straight. You're angry at the service that was defunded by the government to warn people about these types of things." I'm paraphrasing it, but
But yeah, and then because we're talking about the Texas flood, and unfortunately, there's more than 100 dead because they weren't properly warned. And from what I'm reading, it's not just that they undercut, they defunded NOAA and the National Weather Service, and they cut a whole bunch of staff. They're still able to make their weather predictions. Not as many, not as accurately. They don't put as many weather balloons up in the air anymore because a lot of their various remote stations don't have the funds to do the weather balloons as often as they did before.
right.
But they were still getting predictions. The problem is they then hand those predictions off to who? They've cut people up and down the chain that nobody took these forecasts and disseminated them to the town. This town in Texas, which living off the Texas ethic of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, they didn't want to pay taxes, and they didn't pay the taxes for the warning system that would have told them this flood was coming and to evacuate the area.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is it's like taxes taxes are almost always, except in the sense of when they fund war, taxes are always going to something useful. Like, you can argue over how useful, but taxes are always going to something useful. And the idea that we should save money in our budget by selling off necessary warnings and programs is absurd. It'd be like if you needed to make your mortgage and you decided you're going to sell off your oven and your furnace of your house to make mortgage for that month. It's like, okay, you made mortgage for this month, maybe it pays 3 months of mortgage, but then what do? You
Right.
don't have anything else big to sell off, and you still got to find a way to eat and heat yourself. So that's what we're doing when we cut Medicaid, when we cut the NOAA, when we cut the National Weather Service, when we cut all these programs, when we cut school lunches, when we cut school funding. What we're doing is we're selling off our oven, we're selling off our refrigerator, we're selling off our furniture, we're selling off parts of our house to pay a mortgage that we're just gonna need to buy those things back to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, or suffer the consequences of not having them, which in the case of the actual economy means people die. And first we did it with, first Doge did it with USAID, and we now know that that's going to kill between 15 and 40 million people. I forget what the number might have been, like 40 million people, with 15 being children. It's an article I read during the week. But it was I want to say the percentage was more of children was more than that, so maybe it wasn't, maybe the 40 is the wrong number, but it's just, that's what we do know. It's a line from a Weaker Than song where the mayor's out killing kids to keep taxes down. Like, that's what we're doing. We're just saying, we'd rather be tax free than have happy people. Right? And that's where we're moving towards the police state and away from the welfare state. When we move towards a welfare state, you end up like a Finland or a Denmark. You end up with happy people. And you don't have to spend as much money on policing your neighborhoods because everybody's happy and nobody feels the need to risk crime when they're happy and they at least have their basic needs met.
Right. Oh, shit. Another person has passed from my childhood. The actor who played Cletus Hogg on the Dukes of Hazzard passed away.
Oh.
Rick Hurst.
Yeah, that was the show that was before my time and I never got back to.
Oh, man. I mean, it's not streaming anywhere right now, but you can probably buy an episode or two or find clips of it on YouTube. He was actually one of the better characters on the show. That's a bummer.
So do we have anybody watching?
You know what? Let me take a look. I haven't been watching the watchers. We have one over on Twitch, but that's probably a bot, because of the restream or the stream elements, one of the two.
But nothing on YouTube.
I'm not seeing anything over on YouTube right now.
Fair enough.
People might jump in here in a little bit though, because my friend Shannon said she was still out and about, but when she gets home, she'll hop on and watch. So.
And any missed calls or anything?
I haven't had anything happen on my phone. I don't have it muted or anything, so you'll hear it ring when it
right on.
Starts going.
But it just everything to say in the news that happened in this last week, which is just really in a time of a lot of bad news. Very often, this was a particularly bad week of news with the passage of the bill and then the Texas floods.
Right.
It's just one of the saddest, the saddest 4th of July since the last Trump 4th of July.
Yeah.
At least, maybe even before that, because at least the last Trump 4th of July we thought was the last Trump 4th of July. We thought there wasn't going to be another one with him. But it just, you gotta vote, you gotta turn out, you gotta go progressive, you gotta go towards the welfare state, even if that has a bad taste in your mouth. It's part of the preamble of our Constitution. Like,
Right.
we're not just supposed to provide for the common defense. We're supposed to ensure the general welfare, or promote the general welfare, and that's the government's role. Promote the general welfare. Like that's more, couldn't be more simple than that. And the fact that the preamble to the Constitution doesn't ever become pertinent to any discussions. Like, we never interpret anything like, well, what would the preamble of the Constitution, what would the whole point of the Constitution lead you to believe this means? And we don't ever evaluate it from that perspective. We always evaluate it from some word analysis of, like, well, what does this comma mean? What does this preface mean? What is the word? What is the meaning of the word is?
Sometimes things are what you see. Sometimes there's no hidden meaning. Yeah.
Well, it's like the preamble tells you how you're supposed to interpret it, how you're supposed to interpret the Constitution.
Yeah.
And promoting the general welfare is in there. Policing the state is not. In fact, police didn't even exist in most places until sometime after the Civil War.
Yeah, because it wasn't the original words I'm looking for are escaping me. The original purpose of a police force was to maintain the slaves and make sure they don't take off or leave.
I don't even know. I think they had private bounties that did that, and private groups. Like, I think
But no,
the
I'm
original
saying that's what that became though. That those groups
that could be, because I was almost thinking more in the north of, like, police are rising, like in New York, because they protected businesses downtown from anarchists and things like that. Like, that's kind of in my history of police, they basically rose to as property defenders, which is really still what they do today, which is why we have such a clash between police and protesters and things like that, because the police is really, their ultimate duty is to protect property, and
Right.
that clashes with human rights in a lot of cases. But I mentioned earlier that we've had a welfare state since the New Deal,
Yeah.
and that's been eroded away through the last few decades. Especially under Reagan, and in the subsequent decades, we've just further exacerbated the issue, which has resulted in the biggest inequality in American history now, right? But if we were to go back towards a welfare state, if we were going to go back towards a New Deal, one of the things that came from the New Deal era that was never implemented was the Second Bill of Rights. Have you ever heard of this?
The second Bill of Rights? No, I have not.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like, that's what I said when I was the Second Bill of Rights.
Is that like second breakfast?
Yeah. Just, you're already kind of full, but it's still delicious. No, it's so the Second Bill of Rights, or the Bill of Economic Rights, was proposed by United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt during his State of the Union address on Tuesday, January 11th, 1944. So not long before he passed away.
Okay.
In his address, Roosevelt suggested that the nation had come to recognize and should now implement a Second Bill of Rights. Roosevelt argued that the political rights guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights had proved inadequate to assure us equality in the pursuit of happiness. His remedy was to declare an economic Bill of Rights to guarantee these specific rights. So these are the rights that it specifically enunciated. Employment, so the right to work, but that should be differentiated from what's now known as right to work.
Right. Right to work.
Right, but employment, a guarantee of employment, a guarantee of an adequate income for food, shelter, and recreation. So I think that jives with our idea of a guaranteed income and basic income.
Right.
Farmers' rights to a fair income. Now that's it's too bad that they didn't get that, because they've subsequently been bought out by global national chains. So, there really is no more farmer like we had in the 1940s. farmers are all corporations for the most part now. But on further on the list, freedom from unfair competition and monopolies. It's unfortunate that we don't have an amendment addressing that specifically. Decent housing, adequate medical care, social security, and education. So those are all supposed to be guaranteed items under the Second Bill of Rights. Now, as you may have guessed, we never got the Second Bill of Rights. But that may mostly be due to Roosevelt having passed away. It's hard to really say. But after Roosevelt's death in '45, President Truman administration had within a few years compromised the New Deal. FDR's third-term vice president, Henry Wallace, launched a presidential bid in '48 with a new party. The Progressive Party platform promoted the opposition party's abandoned economic Bill of Rights. So we did have an entire new party form to promote this economic Bill of Rights, and that's, to me, is one of the saddest parts of history, is that the Progressive Party became, an irrelevant third party rather than the main arm of the Democratic Party. Following FDR, it would have been nice, if we had kept up the more progressive tradition.
Yeah.
But after 4 elections, 4 cycles plus Truman, so really 5 of Democratic rule, it was kind of time for the pendulum to swing the other way. So once it went into, Eisenhower's hands, he still did a lot of good progressive work, to be honest, but it was from a Republican business-oriented perspective.
Yeah.
And it sort of, it left the conversation of progressivism behind, which, we were doing well through the 50s, so I get it, but progressivism really didn't come back until the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
But this, I did like when I discovered the Second Bill of Rights, that how well it aligned with our stated goals for this podcast,
Right? I mean,
which I of course have memorized and I'm looking up on my phone.
I mean, it happens. I have, especially when it's hot, I get a lot of brain fog. Which is worse, I think, than just like having your train of thoughts derailed.
Right, but we had things in there like everyone deserves food, shelter, and healthcare.
Right.
Boom. Personal responsibility often means working together. Lack of trust in government is a problem with elections, not with the role of government. Everyone should pay the same taxes on the same dollars, with the percentage increasing as the dollars increase. But yeah, we kind of combined all this into one item. But the right to a good education is, maybe that's not something we specifically state in ours, which we definitely should, because that is absolutely important to being able to conduct a democracy.
If everybody went to college, then nobody would be a Republican.
Right? And it's not that everybody needs to go to college, but college, there should be a free college option, that's not a quality free college in every state, or multiple in every state,
to get at least whatever the minimum like college certificate is.
Well, yeah, whether it's an AA or a B or a BA, associates or a bachelor's, it's just, if you are a good enough student or you have the intellectual curiosity to pursue higher education, there should be a free option for you that's of quality.
We
have a
comment on YouTube from Smoke Elijah. To review Tech USA's. I don't know what that means, but that's what he said.
That sounds like a bot or a
It's probably a bot. Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for the interaction. We appreciate it.
That gets that tweaks the algorithm a little bit, right?
Yeah, every little bit helps, right?
let's try something real quick. Joe Rogan is a little person. He is tiny. He is super short. He is not as big as he looks on camera. Joe Rogan is a midget.
I think you have to look in a mirror and say Joe Rogan 3 times.
I think saying Joe Rogan 2.5 times is what you need to do, because that's about how tall he is. I actually, someone said that about a month or so back over on TikTok. It's like, if you want to get some interactions from bots, you gotta just say something about Joe Rogan in a negative light, and they will come for you.
They'd have to be listening, though. You need to write it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Put it in the show description.
There you go. I'll put it in the chat. Joe Rogan is shorter than Tom Cruise.
Is that true?
No. Tom Cruise is like almost. I think his online thing says he's like 5'6", but he's like closer to 5, maybe 4'8". He's tiny.
Four 8 would be ridiculously small, though.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I didn't know. Just kind of looking in through the Wikipedia on the Bill of Rights. So Marianne Williamson, she ran for president in 2024.
Okay.
She spoke in a way that like really spoke to my progressive heart, but everything about her just kind of felt like a trick. I don't know. It felt like, it didn't feel right. But in her 2024 presidential primary campaign, she featured a 21st century economic Bill of Rights in her platform, which again just goes to show that she had me in particular really dialed in with her rhetoric and her platform. But there was just something about her that I just didn't. It felt almost like evil. Like she did it in it. Like she was just saying this to get you to come over, taunting me with candy.
We got
or
another
something.
comment asking what it is we talk about on here. So, what do you want to tell them, Doug?
Well, we talk about politics and pop culture. First half of the show is usually mostly political news, latest news of the week, and then the back half of the show is usually pop culture. What's geek this week, and some weird. Don't mind if I say a bad word, but some weird shit.
Yeah. Now that question is from Take Notes 420. So.
Yeah. And please feel free to light up and dab up if you are so inclined.
Yes, go for it.
Let us know what you're dabbing on or smoking on.
Yep.
So I did want to touch on this story that this is hanging over from last week or something you posted, Todd. But is Donald Trump legalizing driving without a license?
Yeah, I posted that. I think a day or two after we recorded last. I just want to put it in there because I didn't want to forget it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Several videos have gone viral on TikTok making false claims that President Donald Trump plans to abolish driver's license requirements in 2026.
Yeah, it's absolute bullshit.
So numerous social media. Oh, I just spilled. Oh, it was an empty can that was apparently still had some drops in it. I just knocked it over on my own legs.
It's okay.
Ooh, excuse me while I wipe this up.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Worked for Blazing Saddles. So this month, numerous social media users on TikTok have suggested that beginning in January 2026, people will not need a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle. The videos, which have been viewed and shared thousands of times, feature creators either promoting the claim directly or reacting to it with disbelief and concern.
Yeah, we are the latter half on that one. We don't believe it. We think it's absolute horseshit.
Yeah, one video which has been shared over 200,000 times was posted by user @Mela_Ashara. Ooh, excuse me, enjoy that one. She said, so by January of 2026, You do not need a driver's license to drive anymore. You can literally get in the car and go. Is this just part of like the Russian misinformation campaign to
It's
bring
got to
as much
be
chaos
because
to America as
it,
possible?
it
Or
sounds like
China or whoever?
it legitimately just sounds like the sovereign people kind of speak. That's the kind of shit they would talk about. I
Right?
don't need. I'm not. Well, how is it? I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I'm legally allowed to travel from the Constitution. You cannot stop me from traveling. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
And Newsweek goes on to note that even if a president supported ending certain requirements, a change would require significant state level legislative action or a modification of existing transportation regulations
Yeah.
at the federal level.
Yeah.
So, no changes being implemented in
That's
2026.
not gonna happen. Yeah.
Each state will enforce its own laws. Just that's I hate that that's something we have to keep reiterating in the Trump era is the states will enforce their own laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have a king.
And we won't have a king. I don't think we're gonna. I'm confident that our government is going to do whatever they need to do to get somebody else into office. So
Yep. Right. Right the F on. And so without goes without saying, Newsweek rated this an F, a false.
yeah, yeah.
So with that, Todd, um, if unless we have anybody that wants to call in or ask a political question, we can move on to what's geek this week.
All right. What is geek this week? So let me pull that my Google Doc up here. The first thing I have here is that.
No theme song?
Oh yes, yeah. Thank you for reminding me because
Yeah.
I'm just not braining today, man.
I live for it, man. I live for this theme. I live for all our themes.
Welcome to What's Geek This Week, your go-to for the coolest in pop culture tech and nerdy news. Let's dive in.
All right, so it's rumors have been floating around the internet the last few days. At least that was the first time I saw anything about it. Rumors of a reboot for Indiana Jones. After Harrison Ford said, "No, they're not going to do anymore after I'm done. They're done with this. They're not going to do more." And this article here, let me pull this up, is on Walt Disney World News Today, or WDWNT.com. It says, according to the latest rumors, Disney and Lucasfilm are planning on rebooting the Indiana Jones franchise sometime in the near future. It says, according to a new article from comicbook.com, multiple internal sources have reportedly confirmed Disney and Lucasfilm are planning on a reboot of Indiana Jones. Comic Book has pulled statements from Dis Insider, D-I-S Insider, which state Lucasfilm is letting the Indiana Jones franchise rest for a bit before they will do a full reboot of the franchise. The rumor goes on to state, I would expect the studio to announce something next year at D23 Expo because even though the last film tanked in the box office, Indiana Jones is still an iconic IP, and Disney and Lucasfilm do not want to waste that. I mean, yeah, I'm surprised it took them, what was it, 15 years since the last one they did, and that one was moderately better than this one, and this most recent one.
I was shocked when I saw how much time was between, like, from like the Shia LaBeouf one to the more recent one. I was like, oh wow, it was like
I mean,
a whole other generation.
yeah, I mean, honestly, they could have done at least 2 or 3 movies in the time that they, in between the last one and the current one. And the way they explained the absence of Mutt was, like he and Indiana Jones, his dad, got into a massive argument, and then Mutt decided to enlist and didn't come home.
Oh,
So he
wow, that's some dark backstory to add to Indy.
yeah, and of course they basically also say that Marcus passed away not long after Dad, and Of course, I think that was in the Crystal Skull movie. Never mind. But either way, they basically all the characters that we all loved in the first three movies were all pretty much gone. Marion does make a brief appearance in this most recent one, but it was not until the end of towards the end of the movie. So
So you think they're going to have Alden Ehrenreich play Indiana Jones in the reboot?
I mean, you mean the guy who played Solo?
Yeah.
I don't think so. As much as I liked him in that, I don't think he's.
There's no way they would, right? There's
No,
no
I mean
way.
he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that. I mean he barely.
Plus, a reboot's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be the same character again. It's
I mean, it's gonna be Indiana Jones. Whether or not Indiana Jones is gonna be a 35-year-old white male is really the question. Because I've seen some articles about people like making suggestions who they would like to see as the new Indiana Jones, and a couple of them. One was the woman who was in the most recent one as his godniece or his goddaughter. And
I don't know.
Alter Bridge or what was it? The slumlord millionaires lady. I don't know. I don't know her name. I just know that she was in that movie.
I honestly have no idea. I don't even have a face.
Okay. Well, I think she's British, but she's also part Indian, like East Indian. So she's one of the people listed, and then of course at the top of the list was Ki Kwan, who played Short Round.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting?
If it was if it was gonna be same universe, not like a start over and like have a new actor playing Henry Jones Jr. We have just the next generation, which would be Key. He's the next generation. He's our age, my age, not ours, my age. He's actually a couple months older than me, but I found that out today. I think he could easily do like the Indiana Jones thing, where he, maybe he went back to college from the time that we saw him at when he was like 12 or 13 in the second movie.
Yeah, he could have been an archaeologist. Like he could have been training to become.
He could have gone to college after like that interaction with Indiana Jones that, brain is not braining today. So yeah, he could have gone to college and become an archaeologist and all that, and then been like, hey, let's, and he's like, no, I'm a retired kid, I can't do this anymore. But hey, check this out. And he could be, Indiana Jones himself could turn into like the Marcus character, who was like giving Indiana the paperwork or the stories to go investigate. That's kind of how I'm thinking, anyhow. Honestly, I'd be cool with that, but I'm also good with like a complete reboot where we get a different actor entirely to play Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Henry Jones.
Which is,
Jr.
I'm assuming that's where they're actually going.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the way that Disney's going to do it in Lucasfilm. Oh, and here's the list of the actors. If I would have just kept looking at the fucking doc, I could have told you. So the 10 actors that they think could replace Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Number 10 is Chris Pratt, because of course Chris Pratt. And then number 9 is Tom Hardy. I could see that. I could see him, especially if he doesn't do an American accent. If he does a British accent, that'd be even cooler. If we made him a Brit. Chris Pine would be a good choice, I think, as an American Indiana Jones, if they wanted to.
Yeah, I could see Chris Pine.
Idris Elba, I could see him doing it.
He gets floated for like everything like this. He'd be fine at it. He'd be good,
I think it could be, depending on how they do the backstory of his version of Indiana, it could be really good. If they make him an American, I don't know. I've not heard him do an American accent, so I'm sure he can do a great job of it because he's a decent actor. He's actually a really good actor. He's more than decent. He's really good. But he's one of the people. He's one of the top choices that people have for James Bond.
right.
So, Scarlett Johansson. Now,
That would definitely be interesting.
If she was like the granddaughter of Henry Jones Jr., she's like the daughter of Mutt, Henry Jones III. I could see that.
I'm gonna have to set that way in the future.
I mean, it's already the last one was already kind of in the future because it was 15 years after the last movie.
Like, is she older than Shia LaBeouf, or are they about the same age?
Well, I mean, they can age her. They can always say that because he died in what was it, Korean War, I think is where he died. Mutt died, I think, it was either Korean or it was Korea
Vietnam.
or Vietnam rather. Yeah.
Probably Vietnam, right?
So that she could be like, cause I think she's in her late 30s, early 40s, if that. I think she's in her 30s either way.
She's basically my age.
Yeah. She's a millennial.
And I'm older than him.
Yeah.
But I guess it was set in the past, so.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. She doesn't have to be chronologically younger than he is in real life. She could just be playing the part of the older child of the now deceased.
Yeah, it
character.
could even be set in modern times, and just she's the great grand
Yeah.
daughter, great.
Or if they were to do like a reboot entirely, just a whole new story, she is like the granddaughter or the daughter or the niece of somebody who was like a, I don't know, somebody in history, and then she decided to kind of follow suit. I don't know. The next one on the list is Scott Eastwood. Apparently, he is the son of Clint Eastwood. I didn't know who he was.
I was going to say, isn't that the name that Marty McFly made up when he went to the Old West?
No, he used Clint Eastwood in the Old West. Clint Eastwood, that's a stupid name. But yeah, Scott Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood, one of the most iconic action heroes in cinematic history. What was he in? I guess he was in the Fast and Furious movies. And Guy Ritchie's Wrath of Man. Okay, I've seen those movies. I don't remember him in them as anything. So, but yeah, I mean, he has kind of the kind of the everyman look to him. He looks like he could like pass as like a former like football star in high school or something. But and then number 4 is Pedro Pascal, because of course he's the Mandalorian and Reed Richards, so why the fuck not? And okay, this is the woman that I was trying to remember her name, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She plays the goddaughter to Indiana Jones in the last movie. And she does most of the action stuff. So I need to rewatch that movie, because the last time I watched it, I kept like either nodding off or I was, fidgeting with something, and I kept missing stuff. And number 2 on the list is Bradley Cooper. I could see that. I could totally see that. And then,
Yep.
And then
Yep.
number 1 is Ke Huy Quan.
Okay.
Yeah, short round. So that, and like I said, I think if they were going to do that, it would have to be kind of a continuation of the same universe, in which Indy put him through college, probably at the right around the same time as Mutt went back to college. So.
And you said Tom Holland was on that list?
No, he should. You know what? That's not a bad idea, though. Tom Holland could easily be like an Indiana Jones kind of guy, right?
Well, he did the Uncharted
Yeah.
movies, right? So
Yeah, I could see that.
same difference.
I could see that before I could see Chris Pratt.
I'm glad Mark Wahlberg wasn't on the list, at least.
Right? Yeah, I don't really like him either. But yeah, that's what that is. So.
I gotta go run and grab some ibuprofen. You want to start talking about this next story, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can do that, no problem. So
I'm gonna vanish.
Steven Spielberg, I guess, has done many movies over the years, and I've seen most of those movies, I think, give or take 1 or 2 that I have missed. But it looks like he wanted to do one more genre of film that he hadn't done before, and apparently he's never done a Western. I don't know. I mean, I'm not huge into Westerns. I think the only Western I will admit to liking and will actively rewatch at least once a year is Tombstone, um, with Val Kilmer. But yeah, I could totally see if it was like if it's a straight like uh, just an actual western. There's no science fiction to it. There's no fantasy to it. It's just a straight gunslinger type movie. I could see him doing that. He's done action movies before. He's done movies where, yeah, I think adventure movies is he's definitely good at that. Um, let's see what it says here on this article. Let me pull this up real quick. It says Steven Spielberg reveals what movie genre he still wants to make. During an event held by Universal Pictures in honor of Steven Spielberg, the Oscar-winning director shared the next movie genre he wants to make. Spielberg is best known for his work on science fiction movies such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, War of the Worlds, Ready Player One, and the Jurassic Park movies. What's next for Spielberg? In a recent interview, Spielberg expressed desire to direct a Western. Even though the acclaimed filmmaker hasn't directed one, he did previously produce a Western miniseries in 2005 titled Into the West. However, some fans argue that Spielberg's Indiana Jones franchise would also be considered an action-adventure movie with a Western influence. You know what? I don't think they're wrong there. Because, I mean, just the whole, like, because of the time period that it takes place in, there's lots of, revolvers and that type of weaponry. But there isn't anything, like, inherently, like a Western where you go to a Western town where people are riding horses instead of riding buggies or cars. So I don't think it really is the same thing as a western as much as it's an action film with lots of gunplay. But I don't know. I it would depend on the story for me if I wanted to watch it or not. But I could totally see doing that.
I could get into a Steven Spielberg western.
Yeah.
I think that would- I
It
think
says
that'd be
here, I still have an appetite for a western, which it will someday hopefully do. It's something that eluded me for all these decades, Spielberg revealed. The award-winning filmmaker has just wrapped production on his sci-fi project, which has been described as an untitled UFO movie. It is directed by Spielberg from a screenplay written by Jurassic Park scribe David Cope, based on a story by the Oscar-winning filmmaker. The ensemble cast includes Emily Blunt, Wyatt Russell, Josh O'Connor, Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, and Eve Hewson, and Noah Robbins. It is produced by Spielberg and Christy Mikosko Krager. I'm totally butchering her name. I apologize.
You're doing your best.
For Amblin Entertainment, along with Chris Brigham. This will be Spielberg's latest directorial feature project since helming the 2022 Fabelmans, which I haven't seen yet, but I need to. Which is me saying it, not the article.
The article just had a quick aside.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie. But which was closely based on his early life. Aside from directing, Spielberg is also serving as a producer on a number of upcoming projects, including Universal Pictures' Jurassic World Rebirth with Scarlett Johansson, Netflix's Thursday Murder Club movie, and with Pierce Brosnan, and Apple TV Plus's Cape Fear series with Amy Adams. I actually just watched the newest Jurassic World movie, and it was really good. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
So that reminds me of something else I did this weekend.
What's that?
Thursday night. We went to the drive-in.
Ooh, how was that?
Good. It was good as always. But we saw How to Train Your Dragon with Jurassic Park
Oh,
or
wow.
Jurassic World, World Rebirth. The new
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But I think it's just being a Thursday after Sam and I had worked all day. We all pretty much slept during Jurassic Park.
Oh man, I mean,
I saw a bit of it. I saw a good bit of it. It was fine. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't falling asleep.
yeah, no, it had some slow moments. Excuse me. But
Speaking
overall,
of,
I enjoyed it. There was a couple parts that were like, oh, I'm seeing some foreshadowing. I was like, yeah, that guy's gonna die. He's an asshole. So he's gonna die. He's gonna get eaten by a dinosaur. So yeah.
yeah, there was lots of stuff like why is this happening kind of stuff
Yeah.
going on, but I liked the dad of the kids that they ended up rescuing and then became
Yeah.
part of the movie, and then I love Scarlett Johansson. She's great in it, but it just I was just like, do we need more? It made me want to go back and watch more of the King Kong movies again, the King Kong and Godzilla.
Oh yeah. Well, the next story I have here is from ScreenRant.com. It is what is this? The title of it is James Gunn reveals his thoughts about the DCU Batman costume and whether he will wear the trunks like Superman.
Now, what does that mean? Wear the trunks like Superman?
So, in the original, like, Superman and Batman and pretty much all the superheroes back in the day, they wore their underwear on the outside of their leotards. And at some point in the 2010s, I think, Superman didn't have that. And sometime in the 90s, Batman didn't have that. So, we might see a kind of a callback to the Adam West Batman, who did wear the underwear on the outside of his outfit. So, and I think that's what he's talking about. But this is what it says here. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn shares an update about the DCU's Batman Batsuit in The Brave and the Bold after 11 live-action Batman actors have portrayed the Caped Crusader on the big screen. Expectations around the DCU's new Batman are inevitably high. Every previous actor, director, and writer have left a mark on Batman's movie legacy. And the DC Universe's next Dark Knight needs to propose something new, if not groundbreaking. In an interview with CBR, James Gunn answers whether Batman's DCU Batsuit has been chosen. Gunn confirms that there's no decisions made about the costume at all yet, and reveals that he still doesn't know which approach that DC Studios and the Brave and the Bold will take with Batman's costume. The DCU head recalls being in the same position for Superman's costume until the last minute, as other discussions took higher priority. Read his comments down below. It says, there's no decisions made about the costume at all yet. I do like the blue and gray Batsuit, but I like the other versions too. I like many different versions. I'm a Batman superfan, and I like all of the different versions of the Batsuit. I don't know what we are going to do. I didn't know we were going to do the trunks on Superman until the last minute on this movie. Listen, I didn't know the trunks were going to be that important until I took this job. Even Jim Lee came up to me, and the first thing he asked was, "What are you going to do about the trunks?" And I'm like, really? Like, we're talking one of the most iconic characters in the history of the world, and all we're talking about is his trunks, his underwear. I mean, we haven't seen the Bat trunks since the 60s, as far as on camera goes. So, I wouldn't be mad if we got a gray and blue bat suit with the trunks and the yellow belt. I wouldn't be upset by it. What do you think, Doug? He's muted, folks. So I don't know. I think it depends on the.
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't find the screen again to unmute myself.
Okay.
I was chatting with my wife. Sorry.
I figured you were talking to either your wife or the kids, so it's all good. No worries. So what do you think? Do you think they should have the gray and blue bat suit, or they should stick with the black?
They've never done the blue in a movie, have they?
Not since 1966.
Yeah, but not in the modern era. Like
No.
It's always been all black.
I mean, actually, wait a minute. There was the gray and blue in the Flash, but I don't believe he had the trunks. It was the scene where the Ben Affleck's Batman was riding the bat cycle across the bridge, and he was like zigzagging in and out of other cars being thrown at him, or something was going on.
You say this like I remember that scene.
I vaguely remember it myself. I mean, the only thing about that movie that really stood out to me was the fact that Michael Keaton was Batman again.
Right, that's the part that I remember.
That's. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I really did like Ben Affleck as Batman. I did. I thought he was the best second choice to Michael Keaton. Like, if I had to choose between any of the Bats, it would be Michael Keaton, then Ben Affleck. But if I had to choose between all the actors, it would go Kevin Conroy, Keaton, and then Affleck. So
Kevin Conroy's from the animated series?
Yeah. Oh, and the Arkham games, the video games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just got those, by the way, on Steam. Steam has the Arkham games for like $4 a piece, man. You can buy all the games and all the DLC for like $18.
Rumor has it that the Xbox is going to be partnering with Steam and that kind of stuff, so that I'll have access to the Steam market through my Xbox.
That would be badass. All right.
Yeah. Or at least on the next Xbox.
This next story I have here from the Geek, What's Geek this week, was something that happened last week after our show, and I was like, what's this all about? And I clicked on it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And what am I talking about, folks? So there was like a competition to pick the next Lego kit, and people would make their own custom Lego kit. And if you got over, I think, 10,000 votes, then your kit would become an official Lego set. And this one is for the X-Files. Now, see if I can maybe pull this up on screen here. Come on, there's my mouse. All right. Where is it? Geek this week. Add. Let's see. Go.
So what are you looking for right now?
Oh, I'm trying to pull up on the screen here so people who are watching the video can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. All right, so here it is, the X-Files Lego kit. Let me resize this.
So if we were watching on YouTube right now, should we be seeing it?
Yes. It should be coming.
Because I think I noticed this on a past episode too. Like, it sounded like you were sharing stuff, but it was just showing the logo. Like the what's like right now.
It was. I hadn't done this before, but I decided I wanted to show this kit.
So right now it's just showing What's Geek this week.
Yeah, hold on. Here we go. I wanted to get this right before I put it on screen. Here we go. So the kit is basically a rectangle kind of box with it's only a box in that the bottom shape is a square. It's a box, but on top of it.
Okay, now it's coming up.
On top, it has like a woodland scene with a UFO like beaming somebody aboard the ship, and I'm guessing that this kit, depending on how many pieces it has, will probably be about $200 or $300. It also looks like it could be a pretty decent sized kit too. So
this is an X-Files Lego kit.
Yeah, and it has Fox Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, and I think 2 or 3 other people in there as well. Let me look at it real quick. I saw this, and one of my roommates is a massive fan of the show. Oh yeah, Skinner's in there. And it looks like the Smoking Man is also in there. And there's an alien. So, I think that looks cool. And here's a better shot of the office. And it even has his "I Wanna Believe" poster on the wall too. But it says here, keep an eye out for more development news on the Wet Wired's The X-Files Lego set. And for more, here's everything we know about Ryan Coogler's upcoming reboot of the series. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, the reboot of X-Files. And yeah, I don't know, I think it looks cool. It might not be a big kit, so it may not be as expensive as I'm thinking, but it might be, at the very least, it'll be about $160, I think. So, but it looks cool. I like it. If I had the money to buy it, I'll definitely buy it. So, let's take that out. And we're back. So that is, I think, the last of the What's Geek this week. That is it for that. So we should move on to the weird shit.
Some weird shit, where we dig up the craziest, quirkiest stories that make you go, what the heck just happened? Buckle up, it's about to get weird.
All right, so this week's that's some weird shit. I didn't have a lot to pull from. So one of the things that I was talking to somebody about, like how difficult it's been to find weird stories, because a lot of the stories that come up in weird is all the shit that our government's doing right now, and I don't really want to continue talking about that stuff in the back half of the show.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine was like, "What? Haven't you ever heard of the black-eyed children?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Apparently, it's a paranormal thing.
We talked about this last week.
Or did we?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay, then I'll take that off the list, and we will move on to the next thing, because I didn't remember if we talked about that or not.
Set them up, I'll knock them down.
Excellent. Flying car prototype. Did we talk about that last week?
No, but it makes me want to watch the flying car sketch between Dante and Randall.
Right?
Have you seen that?
I
years
have.
ago?
I have seen that. So basically what this is, it is a quadcopter that is rideable, but it has a body on it, so it looks kind of like it could be a car. And
I've seen a guy ride a quadcopter,
so this one's
like just standing on it.
yeah. This isn't like that. This is like it has like a pod in the middle where there's like a seat and controls, and it has like a body around it, so it has like the shape of like a kind of like a very generic looking car. Apparently the link I have for this story is just a YouTube video. So what the YouTube, okay, it's a short even. It's not just a video, it's a short. Here we go. Here's the actual video, which will have like a description and stuff I can talk about. It says it's got 40,000 views. It was posted 3 months ago. It says new car from Aleph Aeronautics shows
Some of these look like AI images or CG anyways.
and that's one of the things that people they comment in the video about. It's like it's not CGI, it's not AI, and it shows this car like in a position where it's in traffic, or it's simulated traffic where there's a bunch of cars in a driveway, and he does a vertical takeoff and moves in front of the car that's in front of him, and then lands in front of the guy. And the video itself is about 4 minutes long. It does like an intro. It talks to the founder of the company that makes this car, and they talk about the competitors and the operating modes, and Model Zero Ultralight, which I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's an ultralight is like an ultralight aircraft.
Right.
It's basically a backpack with a fan and a parachute.
Yes.
That's
yeah,
what
I don't know if I want to ride in this thing.
But now watch the video. It actually looks like a.
I am. They all look fake to me, except for like maybe this one shot at the very beginning. But then Who knows?
I mean, the
Olive Aeronautics flying car prototype.
yeah.
Like, it could just be one of those things that looks so unnatural that it looks fake. But
I mean, the opening video I see is him flying over the white car, and there's lots of dust being blown everywhere, and it looks like a giant model, like helicopter with a car skin on it. But I don't know. It looked interesting enough to talk about.
it's very cool. Like, if this is real, it's, I mean, even just as a prototype, like as a concept, it's very interesting. Like, are we gonna have to start dealing with, because even if, whether it's this car or it's like this guy that is on TikTok who flies around on his hover pad, and well, he got a ticket because he touched down at a red light when he shouldn't have.
Right? Yeah. And like I said, it's been difficult to find, you know, some weird shit stories. So, the next one is about a bear who gets trapped inside of a truck in Colorado.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So a bear managed to get too close.
Weird animal terrifying.
A bear managed to close itself inside of a parked car in Colorado and demolish the interior of the vehicle before being freed by a sheriff's deputy. In Jefferson County Sheriff's Office shared body camera footage recorded by a deputy summoned to the location in the foothills. Oh, there's a bear in there? Come on. The deputy can be heard saying after peering through the window. Oh my god. This is why you lock your car door, man. This shit doesn't happen if you keep your doors closed and locked. I'd be more worried about
I'm watching the video right now.
I'd be more worried about people driving off with my car than
Hi. Which, the red one?
I'm watching the video right now. Are you able to share it?
Oh, there's a bear in there.
I'm playing the audio from it.
Thanks for showing them so fast.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, so here's what we're gonna do. I got a rope, so I'll just tie it to the door handle.
Skip ahead. Tight a
All right,
rope
is
to
it
the
unlocked?
door handle. And he's gonna pull the door open from like 10 feet away.
Ready?
I'll be sharing this video on our Facebook page.
Come on. Go on. Go on.
That poor bear just got stuck in the car and like he wanted to get out, so he's trying
It's
to.
like, what are you supposed to do if you leave food in your car and the car unlocked?
Yeah. And hopefully these people have learned a lesson about locking the car door and not leaving, don't leave the door open and having food in your car to attract animals into your car. So
Yeah, that bear has detailed that car.
yeah, and not in a way that is preferable to the owner, I think. All right, this next one. This is definitely one of the ones that this definitely falls into the that's some weird shit, is medical clinic pleads people to stop bringing in unsolicited samples, urine samples. What? A medical clinic in Scotland has asked local residents to stop bringing in inappropriate or unsolicited urine samples. The Sultan Surgery in Fraserburgh, Aberdeenshire, said on social media that doctors and medical staff at the clinic have been inundated with a high volume of unsolicited urine samples, often in non-medical household containers instead of sterile sample containers. Please be advised, we are no longer able to accept urine samples unless they have been specifically requested by the practice, the post said. This change is necessary due to the high volume of inappropriate or unsolicited samples being submitted. which affects our ability to provide timely care to all patients. I mean, what I want to know is what instigated this? Why?
All I got to know.
Does it say down further if I keep reading? Probably does, and I'm exhausted from reading that, man. A British Medical Association Scotland representative explained doctors need to perform an examination before they can interpret urine test results. Each unsolicited sample handed in requires time and medical supplies to test in practice. Contact the patient for information and then interpret the results and or send away for further testing. The representative told STV, which I'm sure is some sort of cable network or something. One doctor speaking anonymously to the Times of London said multiple clinics have had to put up signs asking patients to not bring in unsolicited urine samples. We really, really want patients to speak to a clinician for proper medical assessment before we ask them to bring in a sample, the doctor said. And when they do, we will issue them a sample bottle to return rather than a random domestic container, which can sometimes be inappropriate. Oh my God, what are people pissing into that they're bringing to the doctor's office? I want to know, but at the same time, I don't want to know. Oh man, because I know it's going to be disturbing, but it's also going to be really, really, really funny. All right, the doctor said that the culprits are often older patients seeking to be tested for urinary tract infections without first consulting a medical expert.
So they're just showing up with a jar of their urine, going, "You gotta check my pee. I think I have an infection. You gotta take a look. You gotta do it."
Hey, you're a doctor, right? Does this
look infected
does
to
this
you?
look infected to you? And there's these
Holding up a jar.
He's pulling down his pants and showing his left butt cheek. Does it look infected? Yeah. Sorry, that's not my impression of Scottish people. That's just my impression of someone who's really, really intoxicated, trying to show his butt to the doctor. Because that's what I think of when I think of Scottish people bringing in jars of piss. God. You know, somebody set them up to do that, right? You know that somebody, like, it'd be really funny. Is if you brought in a mason jar full of urine. Or
it's just a flat bob
or what would be better is if you brought in a used condom filled with piss.
That is not what a condom is for.
Right? Oh, man. All right. Well, and then the last story I have here. This is it for today, guys. Over 300 people in T-Rex inflatable costumes race like horses at Washington State racetrack. Yes.
T-Rexes like horses.
Yeah. Emerald Downs Racetrack in Auburn, Washington held their hilarious T-Rex World Championship races on June 28th, 2025, where over 300 people from across the United States and Canada wore T-Rex costumes and raced against each other like horses after being released from the gate.
I can picture it. I already know how this looks. I've seen it before.
Click the video, man.
And T-Rex is away, and they come flying down the stretch in the championship.
Oh, and they're
From
playing
the
Lenny
outside,
Kravitz.
4 or 5 T-Rexes hitting the wire.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, yeah, I'll be posting. Yeah, there'll be links in the description of the episode. If nothing else, if I don't put it on the Facebook page, it'll be in the description. I didn't know this was a thing, but it's Auburn, so I'm not entirely surprised. So
I've seen this. I've seen them do this at like minor league ballparks for baseball, and this is a thing. This is a thing that definitely gets done on the regular.
It says here that this race began in 2017 as a team building exercise for employees of TriGuard Pest Control. and it grew from there. In fact, Andrew Stuber of Houston, Texas, who won the men's championship in its original member, is an original member of Triguard. Okay. I guess there's another video down here. But yeah, it's those inflatable T-Rex costumes, and several videos here. Oh my god. And somebody actually like came down in a parachute too, wearing a T-Rex costume.
They really went all out for this T-Rex thing.
I need to find out like.
Oh yeah, there's video of the. Well, this link to this story will be in the show notes, but
Yeah.
there's literally video of the skydiver taking off.
So the ridiculous dinosaur race not only took place on the ground but in the air as well, with Skydive Snohomish overseeing the event. So photos and video looks like they're all on Emerald Downs Instagram. So if you want to check this out for yourself, definitely click the link below in the description. And you can see all these photos and the videos of the hilarity that ensued. Wow, man. That is it for today in that's some weird shit. And so
that does it for the show. We made it through another one.
Yeah, we
Please
did.
remember to like and subscribe, leave a review wherever you're listening to this. If you found us on YouTube, we're also available on anywhere you get your podcasts. It'll go up around midnight tonight.
Yeah.
And
we
record every week, and new episodes air on Tuesdays.
Key places to find it though are on YouTube and on Spotify. Just search for ADHP with Doug and Todd, and you will find us. Especially if you want to see the video, you'll find it on those two places. Everywhere else, it'll just be audio. So
yeah, and that's the Attention Deficit Hyperactive Politics, ADHP with Doug and Todd. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week.
bye.